Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham blog and to this week's Premier League match preview. Tottenham visit Manchester United at Old Trafford in the Premier League tomorrow evening, and today I'm going to be running through the team news, predicted lineups, key stats and a little opposition preview as well, as Jose Mourinho tries to make it 4 out of 4 in his start at Tottenham. So before I get into that, if you do want more videos like this, plus match reviews, breaking news videos and interactive live streams, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure to hit the notification bell as well so you get notified whenever I upload or go live. So to dive straight into things, it's the same team news again for Tottenham as we've had for the last two games. Ben Davies is still out with that ankle ligament injury he picked up against West Ham. Eric Lamela is continuing his rehabilitation with the hamstring injury he picked up in training. And Michel Vorm and Hugo Lloris are of course both still out. Now, I suppose those do help a bit with the predicted lineup. I think it's going to be very, very similar, if not the exact same, to what we saw against Bournemouth on Saturday. There may be one or two changes, mainly in the midfield. But the team I'm going to go with is obviously Paulo Gazzaniga in goal. Despite our defensive frailties in the last couple of games, obviously we've conceded 2 goals in each game since Mourinho came in. I think he's going to stick with the same back four from the win against Bournemouth, which is Serge Aurier in right back, Toby Alderweireld and Sanchez in centre back. Then Jan Vertonghen playing that really interesting left back role where he will essentially be a third centre back when we are attacking. Now the two players in the middle of the park, I'm going to go with Eric Dyer and Tanguy Ndombele. I think Harry Winks again will be a bit unlucky to miss out, but Dyer and Ndombele are two very, very good players. And as Mourinho has said, in that system he does like one positional player and one ball playing player. And I think in a game against United where it may potentially be really tight, Ndombele could be a really good figure in there who could potentially change the game at any given moment if it is needed. I think it's going to be the same front four as the game against Bournemouth as well, with Moussa Sissoko did so well in that attacking role. Of course, got his first goal in I don't know how long. Dele Alli, a newborn player, he's absolutely outstanding under Mourinho, and then Heung-min Son with Harry Kane up front as well. And look, given how those players have performed in the last week and a half, I think there's no doubt that we can go out and beat Manchester United with that 11. There's a lot of changes that could be made there, players who you may say are very unlucky to miss out. Danny Rose, if it is going to be a different system, considering we're playing a better team than we have since Mourinho came in, maybe Harry Winks coming into that team as well, and Lucas Moura, one player who'd be very unfortunate to miss out. Just given the form of some of the players at the moment, there will be a lot of players who will unfortunately miss out, but those players can potentially make an impact from the bench. I think it'll be very interesting to see if Christian Eriksen is anywhere near the squad tomorrow night. There's been a lot of news over the last day or two about his future, and apparently he has said to Jose Mourinho that he will not be signing a new contract at Tottenham under any circumstances. So I think Mourinho's team choice tomorrow, whether Eriksen is in the starting 11 or even if he will make the bench, will tell us a lot about that, because we know Mourinho's approach to the situation is, if you don't want to be at the club, we're not going to force you to play, we're not going to force you to stay. And I imagine it'll be very similar with Christian Eriksen if he is actually that keen to leave the club. Now, before I go on to the game preview, just going to run through a few key stats for this one. Manchester United have lost 3 of their last 7 home league games against Spurs, of course winning 4, including this exact fixture last season when of course we beat them 3-0, and that was really famous press conference afterwards with Jose Mourinho. Of course, United manager at the time getting very upset, very agitated by the reporters, and with that famous quote of him saying, he's won 3 leagues more than the other 19 managers. Now, United had only lost 2 of their previous 36 games at home to us in the top flight. So going from losing 2 in 36 to 3 in 7, it's really a big turnaround in the rivalry between those two teams, and it's one that we could actually continue tomorrow. I wouldn't say we'd be expected to continue it, but it is certainly a possibility. Now, on the other side of things, Tottenham have lost more Premier League games against Manchester United than any other side in the competition. So they've beaten us 34 times in the Premier League, which is an outrageous number, I suppose. 34 times in about 27, 28 years. We really have had a torrid time against them, but as the last stat says, that has been turning a bit in the last couple of years. Now, the away side won both Premier League meetings between United and Tottenham last season, after the home side had won 7 in a row in such games. Again, a really weird turn, but we beat them at Old Trafford under Mourinho, and then Solskjaer came in, and of course they beat us 1-0 at Wembley with Marcus Rashford scoring that goal. Now, United have picked up just 18 points from their opening 14 Premier League matches this season, which is their worst start to a league season since the 1988-89 campaign, when they had the exact same record after 14 games and they went on to finish 11th. So many stats showing that United are going through one of their worst runs in quite a while. I mean, they've won only 6 of their last 22 Premier League games. I think Solskjaer's record in the Premier League since becoming permanent, he has something like a 27% win rate, which is, at any other club, any other man at any other club, he would be sacked. And it really is baffling how he actually still is in a job there. And finally, Tottenham won their last away league game against West Ham, picking up as many points in that game as they had in their previous 12 on the road in the Premier League. So that ridiculous run from January to November without winning an away game, we got 3 draws, which scores 3 points, and then we matched that in that victory against West Ham last time out. Now, looking at this game, I suppose from a tactical point of view, there's so many things that we could potentially see from this, and I suppose basing it on the predicted 11 that I've gone with, the few kind of key tactical areas that I think could help us win this game. Starting out straight away is, of course, that Serge Aurier role and the left back role, which I think is going to be Jan Vertonghen. I wouldn't say it's a really strange or it's a really I suppose eccentric tactic to go with, but it is one that we haven't really seen before. Pochettino did it with the centre defensive mid dropping in and the 2 fullbacks pushing on, which I suppose does offer a bit of balance because there's 2 players pushing on in the middle on either side and then 1 dropping back in the middle. But I think this Mourinho one, there should be a bit of an unbalance in the team when, it is one side Aurier's bombing forward and Vertonghen is nowhere on the other side. But I saw a post on Facebook a couple of days ago, and it was actually, this is something that Mourinho has been talking about before. It was previously when he was in his punditry role on Sky. He actually spoke about Arsenal and a way that they could help turn their form around. He said basically what it does is it just causes an overload on one side, and he was talking about Nicolas Pepe in that situation for Arsenal. But it's almost a really genius move. When you think about it, it's quite simple. Just put overload one area of the pitch, and you will have a better chance in creating opportunities and things like that. But it's just working so well for us, and given that we have played teams who will be seen as much weaker sides, even though the way the table is at the moment, you've United sitting in the middle of the table, and I think Bournemouth were above them going into the fixtures last week. There is a lot of strange positionings in the table, but United are a stronger side than those two, and it'll be interesting to see, especially away from home, if Mourinho does go with that same tactical approach, and it will also kind of give us a little insight into the type of football that he does want to play at the club in the long term. Is it going to be this attacking football, or will he kind of adopt that typical defensive style that he does like to use? He did use so much at United. I think we'll see a lot into that in this game tomorrow evening. Now, the other one is the 2 holding midfielders, Dyer and Ndombele. As I said, Mourinho wanting one positional player, one ball-playing player, and I think those 2 could be absolutely influential to this game tomorrow. Dyer played outstandingly against West Ham, had a bit of a blip against Olympiacos, and he'll be hoping to, I suppose, bounce back from that tomorrow night. He is a good player. There's no denying that. It's just he's been out for so long recently. He had the things in and out of the team for almost a year with a really bad illness, and I think a game like this tomorrow, he can prove that he is good enough to be in this team, and Mourinho is a massive fan of him. There's no one is hiding that, but I hope that he does his form does turn around and does pick up, because it's an extra good player for us. But tomorrow could be a big game for him, and Ndombele kind of needing to gain the trust of Mourinho, as the manager himself put it. This again could be a good game for him to do it tomorrow. We've seen already from him just how good a footballer he is, but it's about trying to adapt to this league now, and he's had a lot of game time, a lot more than Giovanni Lo Celso has. So again, it could be an important game for him tomorrow, and again, you would assume it's going to be that 4-2-3-1 at its most basic, then turning into the 3-2-4-1 when we are attacking and things like that. Playing Sissoko in that more advanced role does offer us the chance to kind of sit back and shore up the defence if it is needed. Sissoko can drop into a 3 in front of the defence, and you could have a 4-3-1-2 with Son playing up front with Kane and Ali behind them, or you could have a 4-3-2-1 with Son and Ali playing behind Kane. There's a lot of versatility in this team, and that is one of the reasons, I suppose, why I've gone with that particular 11, and I suppose why Mourinho has gone with it in the last couple of games as well. There's so much versatility, and so many players offer so many different things, and I think with this lineup we will be able to adapt to a lot of different situations. If we do go a goal up and we need to, if we're trying to see out the last couple of minutes of the first half or something, or if we do need to push on and try and get a goal if we go 1 down, there are players in that team who can do everything, and this could be a really good game tomorrow to kind of prove exactly where we are going under Jose Mourinho. Now, looking at Manchester United, Uh, as the key stats kind of pointed out, they're on a dreadful run of form, and they just, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job permanently, they really have been doing so poorly. They had that, of course, famous night in Paris when they knocked PSG out of the Champions League, but all in all, they've been absolutely dreadful. They've won 2 of their last 5 Premier League games. Now, the 2 that they didn't win, they drew at the weekend against Aston Villa, and personally, I think they were very lucky to get a point out of that game. They were winning 2-1, but Villa really caused them a lot of problems. United defensively are so weak, and they just don't seem to have any players in their team that can take a game by the scruff of the neck and turn it around if it is needed. They got a lot of luck with their first goal, going in off the back of Tom Heaton, and they were missing some key players like Pogba, McTominay, and maybe Matic could be put in that list as well. But it's a regular thing for United. I mean, before that they were playing against Sheffield United. They went 2-0 down in that one. Sheffield United fully deserving that lead, and in respect to United, they did turn it around. They came back to 3-2, and it was an outstanding second half performance from them to do that. But then in the last minute, they let it slip. McBurney got the equaliser, and I know there was a lot of controversy around that, and apparently it was a handball, but personally I don't think it was. But it just shows that United, they don't have that strength, they don't have that resilience and willpower that they've been renowned for over the last 2-3 decades, and that is something that we could try and exploit tomorrow. And of course the last game they lost in the league was against Bournemouth, which just shows kind of the level they're at. And you can look a small bit into their result in Europe last week, even though it was a really strange team with players like Lee Grant, Dylan Levitt, Dijon Bernard all playing. They still went out and lost 2-1 to Astana, who I saw in their last 8 European games they'd lost by an aggregate of 17-1, and then went out and beat Man United. But even though it was a lot of young players playing, it kind of sums up the situation they are in at the moment, where they just can't, nothing is going right for them, I suppose. Now, as for United's team news, Paul Pogba has been definitely ruled out of this one. Scott McTominay and Nemanja Matic may return, which will be a big boost for United. I think Scott McTominay has been one of their best players this season. He's, you hear the name and you don't think much, but he's been playing really well in the middle of the park for them, and he's got quite a few goals as well. I think he's one of their top scorers, so we'd be hoping that the two of them miss out on this one, McTominay especially, but they may be back for this one. Now, where I think we can really hurt Manchester United is their left back that has been playing in their last few games, Brandon Williams. Now he's a really young player, and he has a lot of talent. I mean, there's no denying that. You'd have to be getting into this United team ahead of players like Luke Shaw and Ashley Young. But I think his inexperience and his, I suppose, naivety at times is something that we could really try and exploit. And if we do have Sissoko down in that playing in our kind of right wing position, he could really exploit Brandon Williams' lack of pace and lack of physicality as well. He was cut out for Aston Villa's equaliser on Sunday, where United tried to clear the box and he was the last man out, and he kept Tyrone Mings on. And it's that sort of inexperience that you don't usually see in a United team, I suppose. There's some pundit, I forget who it was, saying 4 or 5 years ago a player like that, United would ship him out to a championship team and let him make the mistakes there. But it just kind of shows the situation they're in now, where they have to play Brandon Williams, and he is costing them points. And I think he's someone that we could really try and exploit tomorrow. But United's defence as a whole is also there for the taking. I mean, Harry Maguire, signed for £80 million, has been really poor this season. Victor Lindelof, I think, has been someone who's impressed me over the last couple of years with United, not just this season. He's a good defender, and he wouldn't be the best man to target. But Brandon Williams, Harry Maguire, and even Wan-Bissaka defensively hasn't been at his best since joining United. So I certainly think United are there for the taking. I wouldn't be confident that we'll go out and score and play the free-flowing football that we have been playing the last couple of weeks, but I really do think that we can go there and beat them. And I think United will try and make this, United fans more so, will make this all about Jose Mourinho's return, and that could be where we could hurt them if we just focus on the match, focus on the game at hand. I think we can go out and maybe get a 2-1 victory. And don't forget to leave down in the comments below your score predictions for this one as well, and who you think is going to get on the score sheet for us. Leave your predicted lineups and stuff down there as well. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.